will not cause a housing crash. Now, I make content on my phone like this where I don't answer questions. This will be a nice short live for those people who would never click on a 2-hour video. But if you want your questions answered during a live stream, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I do a live stream that lasts as long as the questions do. So to get your questions answered, I will see you on Tuesday. We have short memories as a species, and we associate the last recession, which was caused by a housing crash, to mean that recessions equal housing crash. And the data that you can easily look up to back this up with, I would edit them in if I wasn't as lazy as I am, would be that 4 out of the last 6 recessions, home values went up. They increased in value. One, it went down less than 2%. And then we had the most recent massive recession, which was caused by housing crash, which was not caused by high prices and not caused by high interest rates. That housing crash that we had, and we do have short memories, wasn't caused by unemployment. Right? You're hearing all these unemployment and low job numbers talking about we're going to be entering a recession and you shouldn't buy a house and housing market is going to crash. Realize a few things. First, the largest home price reduction we've ever had in a 12-month period during the biggest crash we've ever had was 8.9%. Now, over a period of 4 or 5 years, areas could crash a lot more than that, but that was the biggest overall market crash. And while people think, well, in 2008 or 9, we had something like 10% unemployment, so if we get to 10% unemployment now, we've got to have a crash. No. This is why this is not going to happen in 2024, why there won't be a crash. That crash, while unemployment was a contributing factor, happened at a time when people didn't have equity because people borrowed more money than they should on loans they shouldn't have had and financed more than they should on the property. There was a lot of shoulds going on there that shouldn't have happened. Banks were lending 105% of the value of the house so you could wrap your closing costs into it. They were doing stated income loans. You could say, I make whatever I think you need me to say to get this loan. And people had adjustable rates. Right? We had over 51% loans were adjustable rate loans, meaning that in 2 to 3 to 4 years after securing the loan, your rate could do anything. And the adjustable rates that we have now are locked in at a 1 or a 2 point increase. So we don't have the same loan structure that we did then. Right now, we have 42% of homes don't have a mortgage at all. Over 90% of the people who have mortgages are under 6%. There are people with under 5, 4, or 3% mortgages that aren't going to lose their house even if they lose their job because they have equity. They have options. You have banks now that have directives to not take people's properties because they saw how bad that worked out for them the last time. You have forbearance followed by re-loan structuring to 40-year loans. All of these things that are not going to make a housing crash come. So when we see a recession, here's the benefit, right? This is a supply and demand issue. You can look in, again, data that you can easily verify. And this is an asset class that I study because I invest in it. I reached financial freedom by buying real estate. And just like most people that watch my videos, or the haters that watch my videos, I'd like there to be a crash too. And buy things on sale. You might think your job is secure, so if there's a recession, you might be one of the lucky ones who can then buy some of these properties on discounted prices, even though lenders will disappear. And when the crash comes, you'll be hearing, double dip crash, don't buy, and you'll just sit there just as scared not buying then as you are now. So that's what I'm trying to get to. Not the people who won't buy because they want there to be a crash, but the people who are thinking, should I wait because there might be a crash? That's the important part. Even if there's a crash, you still buy the great deal that you find. Timing the market doesn't work, not even in real estate. It might work on a local scale if you know something that's about to change in your local market. Yes, you can determine if you should or shouldn't buy, but not market-wide information because real estate's local. But imagine this supply and demand issue. And again, you can Google this stuff, GTS. For every decade, from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, as a country, the United States generated new home builds of over 25 million new homes a year. Right? There were years where we hit 27, but 25 million new homes a year. Then we have that massive recession that people are still associating recessions with housing crashes, and that's where this problem comes from. Is they're thinking, because of this crash, hopefully my sound has not been terrible this whole time. I just realized my truck is connected to the phone. Might have to do this video again. Let me know if the sound was terrible. The Emperor's Groove ran off with a squirrel again. From 2010 to 2020, we produced less than. Hopefully that fixes it if there was a problem. Less than 6 million homes. Thank you. We did between 5 and 6 million homes instead of 27 million that we did the decade before. Basically, 1/5 of the homes that we were producing, we didn't. There was a blurb of builds in 2020 when interest rates dropped, but what happened to interest rates since then? And what do you think building's going to do in the future? So what you have is people like Legacy OPP point out a brilliant statement from one of his tenants. The tenant said, I'm going to wait to buy because the crash is coming. I'm going to buy during the crash. So what so many people have been doing for a decade. How's that working out for you, Skippy? Or even the ones that have been doing that for 4 years, which it hasn't happened yet. And there's actually no indicators that it's coming. But you can make charts and pretty little things to scare people because FUD sells. And here's how FUD helps the landlord. Legacy has a tenant for another year because that person watched the wrong YouTube channels and thinks there's a crash coming. So instead of buying a property and getting on the property ladder, and they're now going to miss out on a year of principal paydown, a year of cash flow, a year of appreciation, a year of tax benefits, hoping that a crash comes. That tenant is going to get caught living on hopium. Don't do that. 2 things tell you when to buy, and neither one of them is anticipating what the market's going to do in 6 months or a year. Warren Buffett says even if he knew what interest rates were going to be in 2 years, his investing would be exactly the same. The 2 things that tell you when to buy. The first is, are you ready? Are you ready? Meaning there's nothing major going on in your life. Birth, death, divorce, major career change, things that are going to make it hard to get a loan or focus on your asset class and make sure you make a good deal. And you've studied your market. You have the down payment, closing costs, money for immediate repairs and reserves that lenders are going to require. Like, you are ready. You control that. The second thing is, did you find a great deal? If you find a great deal right now, it's not easy. I had to expand my market out a little bit where remote workers were pushing up rents but not pushing up prices because they don't want to buy because they might get called back to the office. I had to start watching days on market instead of making a quick offer so that speed was my friend. I started watching days on market and making low offers, that what Patrick Bet David calls disrespectful offers. I made 80% offers on properties, got 2 under contract, purchased 1. It's not easy. It's never been easy. But waiting will cost you just as much as rushing would cost you. Thanks for hanging out with me on this random Saturday video. Yeah, Saturday. And if you want your questions answered during the live stream, I will be here on Tuesday. I will answer questions like, that is a supernatural symbol in the window, not a pentagram, for all you, what do you call them, superstitious cavemen out there. And I'm in a church parking lot, so I think I'm actually trying to see if I can burst into flames. Hasn't happened yet, so come at me. Have a weekend full of amazing. I will see you at 4 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday for that live stream where I answer all of those questions that you might have on reaching financial freedom, investing in real estate, which strategy might be best for you. Terrible dating and terrible parenting advice is also welcome.